Greetings, Glitter Gang, and welcome back to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn, and today I am crafting live from my new office. So, I have like so many news items to share with y'all. But first of all, thank you so much for joining me. I hope the audio is okay. I can hear an echo in the room when I talk, but I'm hoping the microphone isn't picking it up too much. And that's because the room has very few soft surfaces at the moment. And the walls are a lot closer to me, so I'm getting a lot of reverberation off the walls. So we just have to figure out some things that we're gonna do to ameliorate some of those issues. That's all coming. But let me start at the beginning. So a couple weeks ago now, maybe 3-ish weeks ago now, we got a call from, thank you so much, Linda, a local employer who was looking to fire their customer service manager. And they wanted to be able to fire the customer service manager on a Friday and have the new one come in on a Monday. And so they called about that. They did this rapid round of interviews where in a week they did the whole interview process from like beginning to end, including like meetings with the C-suite and things like that, and discussing like what needs to happen beginning of the new person's timeline and all of that. And it was all very, very fast and wild. And we are gonna have money again, friends. We are gonna be able to pay the mortgage again. So yay. So that hopefully is over for the last time. But because of how quickly it happened, and because there was a little bit of balancing of 2-3 jobs all at once and trying to Uber to keep money coming in, because there was no possibility of getting, you know how when you start a new job, it takes a while to get like paid and things. So we were having to scramble around trying to get money to try and like be able to pay the mortgage and things like that, and like buy food. It was really bad. It's actually been really, really bad, really bad and really stressful. But it's, you know, by the end of August, things should be pretty much normal. So in the middle of all of that, we were moving my office from the converted garage to the bedroom that used to be my sister's bedroom when she lived here. So like that was so crazy. We basically just around the clock from morning till night for like 2 weeks were either doing Uber or fixing the attic fan. I don't know if you guys knew the attic fan broke or not, and that we fixed it ourselves. I don't remember if that had happened yet. And then moving, you know, the many thousands of pounds of stuff I have in my office and all the huge furniture pieces from the office up the stairs and into the bedroom, and then cleaning, decluttering, setting up, etc. So it's been like a ton of work. I slept for like 10 hours last night, because we finally finished it last night, you know, and then just like crashed into bed. And so it's all done, I guess, in stage 1. So the office does not look good. The office is not organized. The office does not have appropriate furniture. I need at least one more IKEA Kallax unit, I think, in the 5x5. Just because if you remember from the office tour of the office downstairs, that I had that huge bookshelf I had a huge bookshelf floor to ceiling, and it had like a counter with cabinets in front of it. And that was just a ton of storage for me. And, you know, I mostly stored books on the bookshelf, but on the counter and in the cabinets, I stored a lot of crafting stuff, and I just lost that. So I'm going to have to figure out how to like get that back or recreate it, or, you know, find something similar. What are we going to do with the converted garage? The plan for the converted garage is to eventually turn it into, I want to say, like a family room or a rec room. Let me get a little notepad and I'll draw some things. All right, so the house on the main floor looks like this. So if you know what a colonial foursquare is as a house type, then you may recognize this. But essentially, here's the front door. And then here's the back door. And this is the laundry room. And then the garage is there. Okay. So right now, this is the living room. And this is what would be the formal parlor in the traditional original layout of a colonial foursquare. And this area right here, I drew the bathroom too big, but you get it. This is the kind of like family-ish room. There's a fireplace in here. This is like family room, eat-in, dining area. Okay. That's what this whole section here, aside from this powder room. And the powder room comes into the house like that. It does actually look like that. And it forms the wall, the half wall here that kind of makes a little entryway by the staircase. So there's like a little foyer right there. And then this is the formal dining room. And then obviously the kitchen is here, and the kitchen kind of bleeds into here because it's eat-in. So there's like, you know, an islandy thing and all that. Okay. So that's what the house looks like. And then this was the office. Okay. So this was the office. So now, and then over here, this side of it was the gym. Okay. So what we're thinking about doing in this formal dining room, so I'll tell you what we use all these spaces for. All right, so what's the parlor or whatever, we use that for the actual living room, the family room. Like the TV's in there, that's where we hang out. And then the dining area, as you all know, I have blocked the entrance between these two rooms with an IKEA Kallax unit, and I use the dining area as an extended, well, I use it as a store. Basically, it's my garage. So I put in the dining room the things that people would normally put in their garage if they have a garage. So I have like a bunch of garage style shelving along the walls, you know. And then this is where we store a ton of stuff that's like, you know, stuff you would normally put in your garage. You use it a couple times a year, things like that. One of these units is all the emergency stuff we've collected over the years. So we now have an emergency shelf. So, you know, which we've been through multiple hurricanes at this point. So we're never getting rid of that. And then one of the areas we have like our ice maker and our like things you might put in like your waters and all of the water bottles and things like that. And a water dispenser. 'Cause you all know I don't drink tap water that I haven't filtered myself anymore. And that's because of having been through multiple emergency water scenarios where I no longer feel safe with tap water. So, all right. And then, like I said, this is the washer and dryer. All right. So the eat-in kitchen area, we have put our old islands. You know, we have those freestanding islands. We put them here and here. And this is now just I've gotten rid of the eat-in kitchen function. Now it's just a massive kitchen. It's just like a kitchen that goes like huge all across the back of the house. And then we don't do anything really with the sitting area with the fireplace and all that. We have our formal dining room table in front of the fireplace, and that's it, and we do puzzles on it, and that's it. So what we're thinking about doing, now that you know what we're currently doing, is we're thinking about moving the living room stuff into here to make it like a family room. And actually there's more space in here and it would be less crowded. So it would probably be more comfortable and feel more kind of spacious and whatever. Because this room is very small. And because this house was built in the 70s, so the rooms are smaller and the ceilings are lower. So there's just like a feeling of, I mean, depending on what you prefer in a house, either coziness or claustrophobia. Like it's just, you're gonna land one way or the other. So depending on what you're into. And then that leaves this room. What do you do with this room? So what we were thinking is maybe you move this table into here and then it would have more breathing room around it, because right now it has to be shoved against a wall and all the chairs have to be stored under it. So if you want to use it, you have to pull out the chairs to sit down, because that's the only way to keep a good passage through here for walking. So we were thinking move that in here and turn this first front room into a not even a dining room, but more like an activities room is what we were thinking. So this shelf that I divided the rooms with has all our board games. And so I was thinking if we make this an activity room, like where we get a couple comfy chairs to like listen to music, read, whatever, the table would be here for people to play games pretty easily or puzzle pretty easily. Without feeling like you're in a hallway in the front of the house. And then this room will possibly remain storage. One of the things we have talked about is moving all these shelves out of here and putting them along one of the walls in the office. So that then we have more space like inside the house. But that would then make, if we turn that into the family room, that would mean you were always the family room would feel very storagey. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. I think it may just need to stay back here, and that's, you know, whatever. We don't need a formal dining room and an eating kitchen. We've never been the kind of people that have a formal dining room and an eating kitchen. And so I'm okay with the dining room staying storage area. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's the downstairs. The upstairs is even easier to draw because in a colonial 4-square, you have 4 bedrooms and a hallway. That's what you've got. And then in here we have this giant bathroom area, which I think, because this house has been remodeled, I think this was just an extremely large family bathroom right here. It's over the staircase. It's what's over the staircase. But they cut it in half and squeezed a little shower stall back here. And now there's an opening into the primary bedroom so that it's technically a suite, but it's literally a shower stall and a toilet and a sink. That's just, it's not even as, like, it's got the footprint of a powder room with a shower stall jammed into it. It's very small, which is fine because I don't, like, whatever, you go in there, you brush your teeth, you shower, that's all you're doing. But it's I think it used to be part of this. There's some stuff about the footprints of the 2 rooms that make me think that this once used to be just like one really big family bathroom. And then this is the office that was already up here. And this is now my office. New office. Okay. So to give you an idea of, like, you know, I said that we've been moving everything. We've been having to take everything out of this office that was here, bring it to the laundry room, through the laundry room, into the kitchen, all the way around, up the stairs, then up the stairs and into the office. So, you know, carrying all the furniture and all of that has just like been a lot. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. Okay. Right now, the Calyx unit, the 5x5 Calyx unit that has historically always been in my office is in this room. And this room is turning into a craft room, kind of. And what I mean by that is because obviously my office is a craft room. But this is for like woodworking. So we put all the tools in here and things that you would use to like fix things. We're putting all the sewing stuff in here. I'm going to get a sewing table for in here, one of the folding ones, so it can be used for doing projects and things. Because again, because we do not have a garage, one of the things I'm probably never going to do is live in a house without a garage ever again. And like, honestly, yeah, it's so annoying. I'm sure if you've never had a garage, you're just like, I don't know what your problem is. People survived without garages for most of human history, whatever. But it's like, no, I can't. It's no. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. So we're turning this into like, yeah. So on this wall, we have stored all the like tools for like working with wood, and my Calyx unit is in there temporarily, so we moved it first, and so it's just vibing in there right now. And I just made sure when I moved it that I kind of rearranged some things so I wouldn't have to access it all that often. So it's right there. There's a door where you come in, and then there's a the hallway is here, and on the other side of the hallway in the primary bedroom is the closet. But here there's just a notch, a cutout in the room where they could have put a closet but didn't, because the hallway wall is there. And that's where I put the expedite. And we also found a place to store it right between the expedite and the wall to store a folding table, which I'm currently using in my office to hold a bunch of stuff. So it's not in there right now, but I think where we had been storing that folding table would be a good place to put a folding sewing table. We have our first sewing project that we're going to be working on, I'm hoping this weekend, but we'll see. But my sister joined the Society of Creative Anachronism, the local group here, and she needs to make a, period appropriate tunic or whatever to wear to events. And so I found a quince king duvet cover on Depop, European linen, 100% European flax linen for $49. And I looked it up online, and it looks like there's probably about 7 usable yards, at least minimum, of 60-inch wide fabric in a king size duvet cover is what they said online. But they said you also will have this extra 48-inch strip left over, and you'll have another few feet of that. So it's actually much more than 7 yards is what they were saying. But like for 60-inch wide, it's 7 yards. So basically we got 7 60-inch yards of 100% flax European linen for $7 a yard, which if you sew, you will know is like practically robbery. And I did check on the Quince website, and they use a medium weight linen for the duvet cover, so it can be a 365 cover. And medium weight is what the SCA people on Reddit recommended for making, medieval clothing. So I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to use that. Well, we're going to make it out of, I have a sheet set that has a hole in it, and it can't be used as sheets anymore. I mean, it can be used as sheets if you don't mind staring at a hole in your pillowcase. So I have a sheet set that I'm going to recycle into making the tunic out of. I think that sheet set is the bamboo cotton. What is it? Tencel. And you can't use fabrics like that at SCA. You can use wool, silk, linen, and some cotton, because cotton was used in the medieval period, and probably more than people tend to think, but it wasn't used anywhere close to what linen, wool, and silk were used. And even silk is like, your character has to be like really rich and stuff, so really it's wool and it's linen that they want you to be making your stuff out of. So we got that. So anyway, that's like a whole tangent. But that's another thing that's been going on. So yeah, I want to get a standing height folding sewing table to put in here to go in this little gap here between the wall and the bookshelf. But yeah, basically this is a room where you can do the stuff that you would normally do in a garage, whatever. And okay, so that's the existing office. That's the craft room. This is the sleep room. And then this is now my office. So I'm sitting, I'm going to draw how it looks. Okay. So right now I'm sitting here. This is the camera desk where y'all are. So this is where I'm sitting. And then this is the computer here. And the printer, the evil printer, is there in the corner. And right now there's a few feet between me and this wall for a couple reasons. Reason one is we got this modern, I guess they're calling it, it's a new style of window air conditioning unit. It's an extremely energy efficient. You can close the window, which if you have ever used a window, it's designed, basically it has a U in it. It looks like this. All right. And so the intake and outtake is on the outside of the window, and then like the control panels and all that, and the cold air come out on the inside of the window, and then the window comes down inside it. Okay. And then there's like little foam that you fill in this gap with. All right. So I have that in here. And the dry feature, the dehumidifying feature of it is so nice. It's been life changing, even for sleeping up here. So I'm really happy about that. But yeah, I'm trying to be as far away from it as I really can. It's not very loud. Like, I don't notice it, but you know, if you listen with headphones and things, sometimes you notice stuff that, you know, you otherwise wouldn't. So I'm just trying to be as far away from it as possible. Now there is plenty of room to where on this wall, I could put 2 IKEA Kallax units, the big 5x5 side to side. But this is where the door opens and it would bump into the bookshelves. So you would never be able to fully open the door. So what we're thinking is that maybe when we're ready to go to Atlanta and get those bookshelves, that we should move this desk to this wall. And then this will stay here because it can stay there. And then the Kallax units can go on this wall. And then the big change there is that the printer will then have to go in the closet. Right there. But I think that's fine. Like, I don't think the printer's going to be mad that it's in a closet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it has, like, strong feelings about that. So, I think we'll probably end up doing this, but we don't own these bookshelves. And this that's in here, I've had this thing so long, it's an expedite. It's an expedite. So it's just going to stay in there. Even if we do get these 2 Kallax units, it's going to stay in there. We're just going to take my stuff off it, and this will be for sewing stuff, woodworking stuff, like whatever, like crafty stuff is happening in here that's not related to like what I'm doing. And I think that that'll be the final floor plan of the house. And this is going to take months to do. Look at it, looks like a scribble mess. But yeah, ultimately the goal is, I think, for this to be like the hangout, music listening, like having a conversation room with the dining room table. So when we're having a big meal, that's where people will eat. But that's also where we'll do gaming, puzzling, whatever. And there's enough room in this corner to have like a little conversational seating area. We may get like a speaker or something so we can sit and listen to music. I've talked about this before. I don't know if I've talked about it here, but one of the things we want to start doing is listening to entire albums from the beginning to the end, just listening to albums. You know, that because of like YouTube Music, which is what I use, or Spotify, which is what almost everyone else on the planet uses. You know, the way we experience music is very different from how the artists are like planning their music a lot of the times. You know, because basically we used to have, like, you would listen to the albums and then you would also listen to the radio, and the radio was how you kind of learned new stuff to go look for the albums for, right? Back in the olden days. Or, you know, things like that. But like now you just have this endless stream of music that's being chosen for you. You're not even choosing it yourself. So I don't know. I just want to like kind of, I see it as like giving the respect of my time to the artists who created the albums, to where if I like 3 or 4 songs from an album, I should sit down and listen to the album from beginning to end, and like maybe discover that I like other songs on the album than the ones that have been chosen for the radio or whatever. But also, like, you know, so I can experience the progress from one song to the next that the artist originally kind of wanted me to have. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's one of the things that we've been talking about a lot that we want to do. And I think it would just be nice to have a room that doesn't have a TV in it to do it. A lot of this stuff is just going to be brute force. Like we can do a lot of this just by moving furniture around or whatever. Like we don't have to buy much, if anything, to make this happen. Oh, this pen like flung ink on my desk. Weird. I was like, what's this shiny bead over here? And it's like just a drop of ink. Okay. Let me now clean my finger. So that was the thoughts with the, oh yeah, I've never seen it. Well, you probably can't see it. It's on camera, but I'm just going to kind of clean the outside of the pen. Is a little bit dirty. Okay. So that's the general thoughts. And then in here, this is like, we have the bookshelves or whatever, so we could put like a little reading chair over by the bookshelves and make that a reading nook. Right now, that's where we have the cat trees. So we've kind of turned that area into like a cat hangout. And then in this area, we could have the couch, TV, etc., etc. And then still have the gym stuff. And then I'm hoping to place the bike so that I'm thinking about using the TV here as like a divider between the TV watching area and the like reading nook, you know, so that someone in the reading nook wouldn't see the TV, like, or what's on the TV. But if we do that, if we do that, I might be able to have my exercise bike so it can see the TV there. Because if you remember from the last tour, I don't know why you would, but there's a TV here on the wall. But my, we think when my sister and her husband were moving out that it got punctured. So because it no longer works, or it does work, it turns on and everything, but the screen is shattered. But you know, it's also possible that Tater Tot got up there and chomped it, because as you all know, he loves to chomp a screen. That's his main joy in life, is to chomp a screen. And that he and Marcel, between the two of them, broke 2 monitors. I have had to replace 2 monitors because of them. So anyway, so that's kind of the thought process that we've been going through. So anyway, that's all to do with the moving of stuff. But yeah, now we've got everything, at least everything from my office is at least upstairs, even if it's not all in this room and appropriately arranged. So I may have to like search for things here and there, but you know, it's okay. It's okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a recording break, I think. And let me get this, because we have to talk about this. But yeah, I think I'm going to do a recording break here, so all this like life update stuff can be in its own video in the archives, and then I won't put it in the project folder, so the people who bought the project just have the project. Okay, so yeah, let me do a recording break and I'll be right back to talk about the problem we need to solve today. So be right back. Bye. Oh, if you're watching live, just hang tight. Nothing's going to change for you. For those of you who are watching this in the archives, just go ahead and click to the next video in the folder to see the rest of the project stuff. So thanks so much for watching. And oh, and if you're watching this in the workshop, no, you're not. So don't worry about it. All right. See you in the next one. Bye. But yeah, so that's what we've been up to. But like, when I say my back is so sore, like yesterday, and the neuropathy in my right leg yesterday was acting up so bad that there were times when I was climbing the stairs last night where I was like, am I gonna die? Like, is this gonna kill me? Excuse the coughing. Obviously, of course, my asthma is acting up as well. From not that I don't have an asthma diagnosis, but I have had a few asthma attacks, and I do wheeze occasionally. So, I mean, I basically had like someone tell me that I basically have asthma, but they just don't call it that unless you've like been to a pulmonologist and gone through all the stuff. But one of the times when I was in the ER for an asthma attack, they were like, you don't really have asthma attacks if you don't have asthma. Like, it's not a thing. Because I was like, I don't have asthma, but I am having this asthma attack. And they're like, yeah, it's not really a thing. It's not really a thing that you that you have asthma attacks and you don't have asthma. So anyway, but yeah. All right. So I will be coughing. I'm going to try and keep it to a minimum, but you know, I only have so much control over the coughing. All right, let's start a new recording. Greetings, Glitter Gang, and welcome back to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn, and this is the... what is it? Moving parts. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, let me actually just start a new recording. Greetings, Glitter Gang, and welcome back to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn, and today we are crafting live from the moving parts folder. And this is gonna be our fixing the workshop kind of thing we have. So we have done the display folder digital design and the display folder construction of moving parts workshop layout style C, which we are styling as a fall version. And the problem that we have is that I made it the wrong size. So it's not really a problem that we have, because if you were following the instructions and whatever, then you would have made yours the correct size. But the issue is that the spine is twice the width that it needs to be. That's the issue. So the question now becomes, you know, how much of this is salvageable? Because I think quite a bit is probably salvageable. And I want to talk about how you deal with, you know, if you were to have done something like this, how might you deal with it? And is there a way to do it where it's not going to be the end of the world? So the first thing I'm going to see is if I can get the front piece off. If I can't, you know, I can always reprint it. But the real issue is not can I reprint it so much as the real issue is, you know, and I'm using quite a bit of undo here because I don't remember how exactly I taped everything down. Okay. So this is a repair job in a lot of ways. Okay, so it is taped down. So that's a good start. All right. I'm going to get the delaminator. Yeah. Okay, so it's yeah, it wants to tear. So now we're just trying to get it off, okay? Because again, we can reprint this, so we don't need to spend like... Now, I can reprint it. If you can't reprint it, you're just going to have to keep... As soon as it starts to peel apart, you're just going to have to add more undo and keep going. And the whole reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to remake this, right? Like, it's already kind of a slow process to make this thing. Although I did say I wanted to show how to do it all out of liquid. So I don't know. We'll see. But I think I may have to redo it from the beginning, which is unfortunate. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're in big trouble, friends. I think we're in big trouble. Sorry, if you hear thumping, I have to move some stuff around the room to get it a little closer to me, I think. All right. Oh. Okay, so we're gonna just have to add more undo. So I'm just gonna use this as an opportunity to get rid of the eco undo, since I don't like it that much anyway. Okay. All right, and what I'm going to do now is, yeah, okay. So I'm not going to be able to save it, so we're going to have to just redo it, which is fine. Okay, that's fine. All right, so because we have to redo it, let's just go ahead and redo it at the end. Well, I guess I'll ask you, do you want to redo it now? We already have the digital design, so we're okay. We don't have to make very many changes in the digital design at all. So we can certainly do that. It's pretty easy to redo it, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and just redo it. Since it's already designed and made, and that I can take a little thinking break. I'm just cleaning this because, like, it seems very dirty to me. Also, if I'm closer or not than usual, or farther away or anything like that, let me know. We tried to get it exactly the way it was, but of course, you know, the whole thing got moved 2 flights, or moved up a flight of stairs. So, all right. Okay, so last time what we did, we used the glue. We're not going to use the glue this time, except for a couple places. And I'll just go ahead and let me get the manual open, or the album basics guide rather, so that I have the correct measurements. So I'm going to be working on the folder with the kickstand, which starts on page 7. Starts on page 7. So, and we're gonna make it out of the, oops, I have to go to my office really quickly to get my big roll of Tyvek. So, well, actually, maybe I won't need to. This piece big enough? Is it just a wheezing attack? Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been at the like you could, they said you can have an asthma attack without an asthma diagnosis, but when you kind of like have them with any kind of regularity, basically I think they were telling me I need to go to see a pulmonologist and get diagnosed with asthma. Okay, so I think I have enough scraps up here that I can put something together. So I think we'll just do that. We'll just piece it all together out of scraps. All right. So we need some chipboard. Like I said, I'm on page 7 of the Album Basics Guide. I'm going to be using the cutting guide this time. Look at me go. All right, so we got the front cover and the spine. I'm very, very sorry to hear that, Melanie. I'm so sorry for your family's loss. For you and your family's loss. I'm wishing y'all as much peace as possible in the days to come. All right, so that's cut 1. And cut 1 makes a piece big enough to be the spine, so it's also cut 2. And then for the kickstands, just gotta make the kickstands, and then that'll be it for the tie bag. For the tie bag, cardstock. Chipboard for the chipboard. I don't know how to craft anymore, so that's cool. Okay, so I don't know if you saw what I did, but I just picked up the one I had just cut to cut it, so now I'm gonna repair it. Should I repair it or should I cut it again? This is the cover. Nah, I'm gonna repair it. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing it in with this hand when I'm doing the taping, so I know they're really nice and tightly flushed together. And then I'm just gonna rest this extra tape on top of the thing. I wouldn't do that if it was normal Scotch tape, but this is the craft tape. So, all right, I'm gonna just separate those out, and then that way I can cut it correctly this time. So if I had thought that I might make fewer mistakes in a new environment, I think we can see the answer is nope. All right, so I'm doing the kickstand piece. And I need 6 of these. And I can feel my thing struggling a little bit. There's the first 3. So what I'm going to do is, if you do a lot of chipboard all at once, sometimes the rototrim, the self-sharpening action doesn't get it done, I guess, doesn't fully fix it. If that happens and it starts to feel like it's like you're having to work harder to cut through things, then I just run it through empty, the blade, a few times. Yeah, and then it starts cutting much better. But another reason why we're thinking about moving that family room, moving the living room stuff into the office to be a family room, is because the office has its own HVAC unit. And with the heat being what it is, we were thinking then that would allow us to keep the main house hotter, because we have this little unit upstairs that's helping with the humidity up here. Also, it's so nice to be in my office and have it feel kind of dry in the summer, because y'all know I have a huge problem with like wet fabric. All right, so we're gonna do this all with tape for the most part. There's only gonna be a couple areas where we're gonna use glue. Okay. So the first thing to ascertain is if there's a piece big enough, and it's probably going to be this one, for both. Nope, it's not. Okay, so there's not a piece big enough, but I did see this piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a piece on the spine, and then we're going to do a piece wrapping the front cover and wrapping the back, and then a third piece wrapping the back cover. The reason we're doing this is just because I don't want to walk downstairs, not because it's the right thing to do. All right, so this thing is plenty tall, but I just want to make sure the sides are straight. So I'm going to fold it. It has one straight edge here, so I'm just going to fold it on that straight edge. Then I'm going to cut it to be the right width, or right length, which is like 13 inches, I want to say. So half of 13 is 6.5, which I can do no problem. And then I'm just going to cut the two sides to just like straighten them out, because it doesn't matter how wide they are, they just have to be straight. All right, so that's this. Okay, now I'm just gonna take this pencil and kind of like right over that score line a little bit. And I'm doing it on the chipboard. This is just to flatten it so it doesn't have as much of a curve. It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. It's not going to show, so probably don't have to do it, but I did, so what are you going to do? Okay, so now we're going to put tape on this. So I'm going to do and then I'm putting the tape, it gets folded like this. Okay, so I'm putting the tape across so that there won't be any weakness in the seams in between the tape slices that I have to watch out for. So, and what I mean by that is if I did the tape vertically, I'd have to make sure that the gap between two pieces of tape wasn't in the channel where we're going to put our stuff. You know what I mean? All right. All right. So okay. So all right. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and peel this tape. So what we'll call this is a completely dry version. Okay, this is a completely dry version. Or maybe a majority dry version because we may be adding a little line of glue in one or two spots. I'll explain where and why if we do. Now the cats do come in the office and they have visited me since. Primarily Kitty. Tiny Cat is like, whatevs, man. She's just doing her thing as always. All right, so I'm gonna kind of line this up on my desk, not perfectly, but just so it's pretty straight, so that when I come in with this, I can hopefully get it kind of straight. Okay, all right, perfect. I mean, it's probably not perfect, but you know, you get the idea. All right, so now I'm gonna get one of my plastic spacers, the 1/4 inch one. This is gonna come together very similarly to how it came together before, obviously. It's just gonna be doing it. All right, so just gonna all right. All right, got that. And again, I'm just kind of, there we go, yeah. All right. I'm gonna put the weaker part closer to the spine. You know, is that where the weaker part should go? Can't say. Don't love that the gap is right there. So what I may do is I may clean this up a little bit. All right, so we've now got this in place. So here's what I'm gonna do. So because you can see how it almost perfectly lines up with the crack I made earlier, we wanna do something to get rid of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fold this. I'm just folding it around, you know, like we would if we were wrapping it like a book cover on the spine side, so that I can get like a clear idea of where the edge is. And then I'm gonna line the 2-inch mark on my, nope, I'm not gonna do that because I can't see it. I'm just gonna fold it shut. And then I can line the 2-inch mark up with the edge. And I'm just gonna cut it with a knife. And I'm just cutting the Tyvek. It's almost like a score more than anything else. All right. And that's just gonna show me where I need to remove it. All right. And that's just so when I glue the next piece down, this has like, you know, more, it has a full piece on it. It doesn't have a half a piece. All right. Now, you don't have to worry about that because yours is the correct size, right? So, all right, so now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna rub my thumb along this edge to get a nice crisp edge, and then I'm gonna fold it, and then gonna line up with the edge. Pick it back up. All right. Line up with it. So this is just another way you can fix a mistake. Okay, so you see that pull, that's just because I cut down too far when I scored it. I cut too deeply. And I cut the first layer of the chipboard too. It's not a big deal because we don't need that first layer of the chipboard structurally. So, all right. All right, so now that we've got this where those edges are nice and straight and there's no gap, all right, just gonna give it one more little whiz. Then the next step is gonna be to do the to wrap the sides. So I need to just measure how big of a piece I need. So I just need to make sure it goes from 17, I would say from 17 to 28 is probably good enough. So that's 11 inches. So like 11 and a half, whatever. Your measurements are gonna be different. You might not have even made a mistake. So what are you gonna do? All right. So I'm going to get a piece bigger than I need because they are oddly shaped. And then I'm going to cut it down to the size that I need. Okay. So we're just going to stick this here. I mean, on the other side, of course. All right. So go ahead and set that to the side. All right. So anyway, that's what's going on with us. Now I do okay, something really weird happened. Oh, there's like a little crimple there. Okay. That's fine. I'm just going to keep going from this side and then we'll figure out what to do about that at the end. All right, my guess is that this is enough adhesive to wrap it, so we're gonna go ahead and just hope for the best and see how we do. But we'll just use the size that isn't as crooked, and what I mean by that is this is where the crookedness is, so we're gonna go ahead and just pull from this side. Or line up the side that doesn't have that little crimp in it. What's everyone been up to? Did you have a nice July? All right, just looking again, seeing where the crimp is. All right. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, so here I can see that I don't have it perfectly lined up, and it could be because of that crimp. So I'm just gonna take a Sharpie, because it is black Tyvek, and just hit the edge of the chipboard with the Sharpie. Okay. Now I'm gonna cut my corners. Cut the corners. your first great-granddaughter was born 3 weeks early on July 4th. You probably don't get the same clout for that in Canada, huh? All right, and then just because this edge is needed, or is not, I don't need this edge to be free for any like lining up purposes or anything like that. I'm gonna go ahead and just do it, fold it over now so that we have fewer sticky areas that can cause problems, let's say. This whole thing's probably going to come together and look better than it did last time when I took my time. But congrats so much to Candy, to Candy's daughter, and to Candy's great daughter, and a welcome, or granddaughter, and welcome to Candy's great granddaughter. All right, and then I can wrap these sides as well. It's just this that has to remain free. So for this edge, because the Tyvek's just a little more squiggly, that's a word, that's a real crafting term. I'm just gonna pull it tight against the edge, and I'm just kind of working my finger up. All right, nice. All right, yeah. Now, great news, the part that's most affected by the squiggliness is gonna be under the paper. So that's nice. All right, ooh. It's looking good, looking good. All right, now that we've done that one, let's do this one. Of course, I set that down right on top of the adhesive without paying attention. Okay, so to make this easier to cut, okay, I'm gonna fold it in half. And then this fold becomes my straight edge, basically, that I cut from. And I do this on the paper trimmer, but those of you, I'll do it on camera so you can see it. Okay, so my first step would be I need to cut it to a little bit bigger than my final width, basically. So we know my final width that I need, that 11 inches is the little bit bigger amount. So I just line that fold up and I can cut on 11 inches. And so now I know width-wise, it's the correct width because we went from 17 to 28 before. That's 11 inches. All right, so now we don't need this piece anymore. All right, and we don't need to worry about that top bit. So now we know this corner is straight. Okay, we can now trim it to, well, trim it straight essentially. To get this edge straight, perfect. Okay, and then now the rest of it is height wise, and it may just be longer than we need. So what I'm gonna do is, I mean, it's definitely longer than we need. Just cut the raggedy ends off. All right. And these are gonna be, oh yeah. These pieces are gonna be a good width for something we're gonna do later. Okay, so. Again, just flattening it out, but it's not like a big deal. Okay. Now put the tape. Ooh. Melanie's gonna have to negotiate some cat politics. The tuxedo she's been feeding for a couple years has decided he wants pets and to move in. How cute. I will say I'm not a huge tuxedo fan, but that's just because the evil cat we had growing up was a tuxedo, I think. So I only have negative memories of tuxedos. All right, so I'm just gonna tidy up. But I'm sure he's a lovely gentleman. All right. And now I'm gonna go ahead and stick this down. I gotta tell you, oh, it's on the floor. Okay, I was like, I don't know where I put my piece. I actually have a lot more room than I used to, and I don't know that it's been very helpful so far. So we'll see if in the long run that benefits me or not. Because even though that other room was much bigger, I was so used to having all my stuff in the one corner because my sister used to be in there and I never expanded out really, so yeah. All right. So same thing as before. We're just lining up the cracks. And then this crease is actually not from the fold. This crease is from a little overlap of adhesive underneath, so. All right. Okay, and then I'm also going to hit this with the Sharpie because we do have the potential for an issue. So, all right, let's cut the corners. That's so cute. This winter, I want to make the stray cat shelters that you make out of the bins from Home Depot. I saw a tutorial on how to do it because we have so many feral cats in our area. I've actually never lived anywhere with this many feral cats as we have right here. All right, so I'm rubbing my finger over the back of it to get a nice crisp edge right there. You can see how crispy that edge is. Okay. And then I'm going to kind of work my way around. With Tyvek, this is a little more necessary because of the floppiness and flimsiness of the material. All right. All right, beautiful. Okay. Besties for the restless. All right. Okay, so now we're going to get the edges wrapped. And then we're going to talk about how we're going to handle the middle. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna wrap these down, but before I do that, I just need to put a piece right there that's gonna cover that gap. All right, and I have this piece just already. This is one of my cutoff pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and I'm going to still put the tape across, even though it would be much more easy and efficient to put the tape vertically. But again, because it's going where it's going, we're going to go across. Oh, my sister is going to Switzerland around Labor Day. So in September, we'll have a couple shows where I'm sure the boys will drop by and say hi, which will be fun. And then I'm just gonna put this piece down here, because I wanted to start on a big piece, obviously. And then we'll put a filler in there. All right. And I'm okay with a gap that small. So I'll just, you know what, I'm not actually, that was a lie. Let me just put a little piece of 1/4-inch tape there. I thought I was going to let it. Okay, so Candy has a sister who lives where there's a lot of feral cats, and in the winter she has 3 of the cat shelters with water and heated bowls and a catio for the indoor cats. And one of the feral cats permanently hangs around them, so she built him a bunker besides the catio, and he calls her if she's late feeding but still won't let her pet him. What a rude boy. Okay. Oh, he's got it. Got it. I understand now. She stole his balls. And he's not going to get over it. Okay, so now we're going to put this down. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lift the back so that they sandwich pretty well. And the way I'm going to lift the back is I'm just going to crease the tie back around the chipboard. I'm not really lifting the back, you know, I'm just getting the tie back used to wrapping. All right. And I don't know if you can see it, but it is bubbling up a little bit, and that is going to make it easier to stick these two together, is my theory. I've never tried this, so we're about to find out if my theory is workable or not. Okay. All right, so the goal is to just have everything really flat in the middle here. At least that's my goal. That's what I like. Okay, and then I can kind of wrap it over this and then push it down, push it across, and then press it in. Okay, then, all right, just gonna turn it over and clean everything up here on the back. All right. And then just wrap it around. Okay. And then once it's wrapped around, start to get it all pressed into place. Okay. All right. And we have a couple of areas where the chipboard's going to show. I'll just all right. Okay. And we do have a crinkly bit, and that's just kind of how I pulled it. Okay. All right. But we can see nice and crisp. Oops. Let's just hit this little area right here. Really only have to hit it on the edges because obviously the rest of it's covered with the paper. Okay. All right, we're just gonna rub it over. All right. Okay, so this one isn't crinkly because, like I said, that was user error before because I'm pulling to the corners, and this one I pulled straight up, so you want to pull towards the corners. Okay. All right, now, perfect. All right, so we now have a folder the correct size Go us. All right. So we've got a folder the correct size. Fantastic. Looking good. All right. Now we need to make our kickstands. When it's gonna imagine if I had enough to get the whole thing wrapped, but I don't have enough for the kickstands, and that's what like sends me having to go downstairs. That would be annoying. All right, so kickstand time. All right, so we can get one kickstand out of this piece for sure. No problem. Yeah. So we just need another piece like that. Let's see, what about you? Oh, this one is cut on an angle, so it's getting skinnier on the sides. But there is enough. We can go ahead and use it. Okay. All right, so far we've escaped having to go downstairs. Let's see if that lasts. All right. Okay, we've still got our little piece here. Okay, so I want like a 2-inch piece at the bottom to connect it to the top. So what I'm gonna do to ensure that, because my tape is 2 inches, in order to ensure that the end has that 2 inches without it having a gap right on the edge, I'm gonna start with a 1/4 inch. And now that I've got that 1/4 inch on there, I can just go. Okay, and then we'll talk about I'm also hoping that by starting with that 1/4 inch, I'm not going to have any gaps. I should be going vertically on this one instead of horizontally, but I'm already going horizontally. So here we are. Ooh, you know what? I think I've gone farther than I wanted because I think I may not have done my math in my head correctly. All right. So the first thing that we're gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of line this up on my desk. And the goal is to get on edge straight-ish. It's not to be perfectly straight. Okay. Okay, yep, pretty perfect. All right, so we've got the first one straight, and so now we should be able to do the rest of them without too much trouble. Okay. Now, this one, and then we need another piece. And then pull up. All right, and then we need like 2 inches off of this. So I'm just gonna line my ruler's 2-inch mark up with the edge of the chipboard. And, well, no, we don't. We only need 1 inch because this is the top. Top only needs 1 inch. Alrighty. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my corners. And then cut the other corner. And then just wrap that edge. Nice. Okay. All right. So next, we need to take a ruler and cut this corner. Okay. So we're going to cut out to the side. And then down. Okay. And then same thing on the other side. Nice. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just Sharpie these corners, just in case. All right. Because they're going to be semi-exposed. In fact, you know what, I'm just going to, well, not. They may be semi-exposed. They may not be. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fold in the sides. So once again, I'm going to go with my finger and go over. Okay? And that just works a little bit better with Tyvek specifically versus using exclusively the bone folder. Okay. So I'm going to start in the middle and press out to the sides. And then I'm going to keep hold of this and I'm going to you know, go do my groove. And then with my finger on this, pulling towards the corner, I'll burnish. All right, nice, nice, nice. Okay. Then same thing, I'm gonna pull towards the corner, so I'm pulling in like this direction, going to walk across the gap. So I'm going from burnishing this side, and then I walk across with the bone folder and burnish that side. And then I can just kind of with my finger usually get this part and then finish it off. All right, and that's just so I have that nice crispiness there. Okay, so I'm gonna go see, and there's like a little bit showing there. Once I put the other piece of Tyvek over top, it probably won't show at all, but you know, whatever. All right. All right, so I'm just gonna go across, walk across the gap. So we're gonna go down the side, walk across the gap, up the side, and then grab and just whoop. Yeah. All right. And then pulling towards this corner, I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna go down. All right, nice. Okay, so, all right, now what are we gonna do? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a piece on that basically is almost exactly the same size as this, and then we'll trim it down here at the bottom as needed. All right. And so, all right, so this piece needs to be, I don't know, 23 and a half inches. Great. Okay, so to be 23 and a half inches, that's incorrect. It's 13 and a half. 23 is, that was wild. Okay. So to be 13 and a half inches, is it gonna stay thick enough the whole width? That's the question, but I'm gonna cut it down to 13 and a half and then we'll see. Now, if it gets too skinny towards the top, then that's fine. All right, so, all right, so now we've done that. And then what I'm gonna do is fold this in half because it's kind of on that angle. And I need this to be like 4.5 inches all the way, which it's not, it's only 4. So it's way too small at the bottom. But the question is, okay, so we need to look 2 inches up because we have that extra 2 inches for the flap. 2 inches up, it's still not wide enough, so we can't use this scrap. All right, so we need to find a better scrap. We may just have to make one. Okay, I just had a new idea. I'm gonna make a 4-inch piece, a piece that's like 4 by 8.5, which is kind of what I need it to be for this. And then we'll start there. Okay. And that way it'll be, yeah. Okay. I think we really only need a 4-inch piece now that I'm thinking about it, so. All right. Let me cut a 4 by just shy of 8.5. So like, all right, so this is the like, I'm running out of supplies, chaotic version of this project. All right, I had enough for 2 of these, so we're gonna have 1 for each. Nope, it just flew away. How dare you? I mean, the good news is I'm really using up these scraps. Okay. So with this one, I'm just gonna put my tape down the middle first. Am I? Yeah. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do the same thing I did before, where I do like the 3/4 inch and then. All right. All right. I just heard another piece fall. The only reason I care about them falling is not because I care that they're on the floor or anything like that, but like there's a million little tiny black curled pieces of tape or Tyvek in my room right now. And like I don't have to try and distinguish the ones that I've cut and prepped, you know, from the others. That's, you know, whatever. Okay, so all right, I got that. And now I'm just gonna cut. Oh, come on, really? Oop, nope, I thought I might be able to use that, but it's not gonna work. Okay. So yeah, we'll see how things go. I mean, things are gonna still be complicated for a while, but we'll get through it eventually. But hold on to your jobs, everyone, because finding another one these days, not good. Okie dokes. All right, so now that I've got this, I'm gonna just put it here, right? Okay. That's the goal. All right, so this is where it's going to get attached to the piece. Just here on this little area just has a little bit of adhesive showing, so I'm just going to try and rub at the adhesive with my finger, but I guess it doesn't want to come off. All right, so here on the sides, okay, you can see that there's like a little bit of adhesive that doesn't quite get covered when it gets sandwiched together, and I'm just going to carefully trim that off. All right. Okay. Now we just need a little piece of paper to cover the rest of it, kind of clean it up, just so we don't, you know. So let's go ahead and I'm not going to put any pattern paper in the gap anymore. I'm just going to leave it Tyvek because it'll just blend in with the outside, and I'm only going to do the pattern paper on the top and bottom here, you know. All right. Okay, oops, I stuck it to my desk. Whoopsie, my bad. All right, now yeah, too small. All right, so we need a piece that's going to be big enough to cover what's left. So let's go to the floor and see who we've got on the floor. Oh, so close, but no. You join the others in Two Smallville. Now this, on the other hand, is the right size, no problem. Okay, so yeah. All right, so I need about, I don't know, 9.5 inches of this. So I'm just going to cut a 9-inch strip because it's going to be covered. 9.5 because that's what I said. And like I said, we want it to be just shy of 8.5. Or, yeah. All right. So now we've got this piece that can go here and clean all this up. All right. Okay, perfect. And then we just need to do the same thing as we did before, which is start with a 1/4 inch piece. Or a 3/4 inch piece. Well, except these pieces are 3.5. So I actually, if I had started with 2, I would have been fine. But now I've made it difficult. It's fine. We won't worry about it. It's too bad this was unfixable. If I hadn't, if we weren't doing a page shift base, it wouldn't have mattered. I could, whatever. I don't care anymore. It's not gonna matter if there's no tape right there. La la la. If we weren't doing a page shift base, it wouldn't have mattered that it was extra big. Like if we were doing it mounted, I could have just not fixed it. But because we are doing page shift base, I do have to fix it, unfortunately. Unfortunately. All right, and so just gonna kind of go back and forth and work my way down to the edge, and then hit it from the back where I've already got the grooves. If I do that again, I need to be more careful with how I put down these bits. All right, there we go. So I'm just gonna rest it against my hand so I don't adhere it again. But I'm getting these 2 pieces down. And then when I come back in here, I can just go along the edge. All right, it's done. Okay. So we've got our kickstand. We're gonna attach it here. This is gonna be the only area where we use liquid glue, is attaching this to the book itself. All right, so let's just get the next one done. Okay. So it's already cut to the right size. We just know it kind of narrows. So I'm gonna do the same thing as I did before and fold it in half. and then cut it to the correct width, which is basically 5 inches. Ooh, it's not long enough at the top. So this one is gonna have like a clear top and bottom. Yeah. All right, so the wider is the bottom. All right. So I'm gonna start at the bottom with the 3/4 inch so that I remember it's the bottom. Okay. And then I'm gonna go vertically. Nah, I won't. I was like, maybe I'll go vertically. No. Let's not go vertically. Let's not. Oh, it's raining a lot. Or at least it sounds like it might be raining. All right. That's gonna have to be the best. So, because we are using this crooked shape, instead of a fresh piece, the reason I'm not worried about it being kind of crooked is because it's getting folded over. Get off my fingers, please. Ugh, so frustrating. When the tape gets stuck to your fingers, ugh. And it just keeps moving from like finger to finger, but never going in the trash can. Ugh, very annoying. Okay. All right. So now it's the same thing as before. We're going to roughly line it up on the desk. Because we're very much trying to get this first piece kind of semi-straight. Okay. And now we're just gonna hope for the best. All right, so that corner doesn't have a ton of wrap, but it's got enough wrap, I think. So I think we'll be okay. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna cut our corners. Okay. It's going to be enough, I think. That will be just fine here on this corner, which is the corner we're concerned about. Oh, but before I wrap it over, I've got to cut the corners down here. Dance. All right, now that those are down, I'm just gonna get that corner area. All right. Okay. Hey, babe. All right. Wow. This is coming together quickly, at least. I'm probably over. I can't actually see the time anymore, so because of how my desk has arranged, there's something in front of it. Oh, I am over. Oh well, we'll just finish it. Because we literally only have to do this to be done with the wrapping and ready to assemble. Okay, yeah, so we still have a 1/2 inch up there. I like to have an inch, you all know that, but you know, it's not the end of the world if I don't. All right. So that's done. Okay. So now we just need to all right, just kind of wrapped everybody. All right, so now we have this to go on the bottom again. I think what I'm going to do is draw a 2-inch line. Ugh. Here that I can line up with, because everything is so crooked, it's very hard for me to get an idea of like where there's a straight line. So that way, since I know this piece is 4 inches and I know that's 2 inches, if I make a line at 2 inches, I have something I can line up on. All right, and now that's on there. Let's see if scissors will work better to get these little, yeah, worked pretty great actually. All right, got that little extra hanging off bit. Okay, so now we have created, we just have to line this. We don't have to line the rest of it because it's gets covered with paper. I suppose this technically does too, so. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this piece, which I know is relatively straight, to use on the top. And then we'll go from there, filling in with little random scraps. And then we'll just wrap it up there. I will print the stuff we'll need to, no, I won't. Well, we have to adjust the sizing of the exterior, so we are going to have to do a little bit of digital design there to fix the exterior. However, the rest of it I can print. The rest of it I can print. So. All right, so I'm just gonna trim this bottom edge in the paper trimmer just to get it nice and straight. All right. And then we'll just peel the tape and go. All right. So this one, just gonna again lift it so that when I do the back, it doesn't affect it. All right, so we've got that piece done. So now we just need one final piece. Just one final little piece. And this one's not quite big enough, but I'm just gonna, oh, I know for sure. How about you? Widthwise, you're fine, but, oh, I think you did it. Ooh, it's very, oh, here you go. There we go. All right, you got it. We got it. There we go. All right, so how big a piece do I need here? Okay, so 4 inches should be okay. All right. Oh, too wide. Okay. All right, so when we come back tonight, what we're going to be doing is we're going to just talk about how we need to adjust the outside wrapper and then assembling it, and I'll just show you where I'm leaving gaps that I didn't leave. I'll just show you where I'm going to leave gaps that I didn't leave before. And then we can get into how we're gonna do the inside. So the inside, this style, I said earlier when we first started this project that I want to add some pockets where there aren't any. So we'll have to talk about that when tonight we're gonna have to decide where we want to do our extra little things and figure out the measurements for that. So that's coming. So what I'm doing now is just figuring out exactly like where on the side it needs to be. And then I can peel back that area so when I stick it down once again, I'm getting that really tidy in between, nice and flat, and then I can run my finger on the edge on the inside and strengthen it, and then that's it, it's done. Okay, so now we have our two flaps, or kickstands. Oh, I didn't put magnets on them, but I'll put them under the paper, and that's probably better for magnet placement anyway. Just hope I don't forget to do that tonight. Okay, so when we come back tonight, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna stick the whole thing together, put the whole thing together. Wow, somewhere in here I lost my glitter gang, my little glitter gang guy. Where are you, glitter gang guy? I didn't throw you in the trash, did I? Huh. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. Well, I'll figure that problem out later. But we've got this, and oop, I found it. And these two. So those are all ready to go, ready for paper, etc. So now, when we come back tonight, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be fixing the outside wrapper so that it'll be the correct size now that we've lost width, and reprinting it. But everything else is sized correctly, so we don't have to do any other adjusting. So I'm going to go ahead and print everything else now, and I'll see y'all later at 9 p.m. Eastern USA time, which is 4.5 hours from now. So whatever time it is where you are now, I will be back in 4.5 hours. For those of you who are overseas and are going to dinner or going to bed, I hope you have a wonderful evening and a fabulous weekend and week ahead of you. For everyone else, I'll see you tonight. Bye.